Good evening. You are tuning in to AWANI Tonight with me, Farhana Sheikh. Didik TV KPM launches today. What are parents' first impression? And Dewan Rakyat Deputy Speaker Azalina questions suspension of Parliament. That's coming up. Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin today launched a special education TV channel called Didik TV Kementerian Pendidikan Malaysia. It broadcasts programs based on the ministry's curriculum and co-curriculum alongside other edutainment programs. But the big question here is, will it help students who are already facing increasing challenges from online learning? We speak to Datin Nur Azima, chairperson of the Parent Action Group for Education, to find out what are parents' first impression.
Now, if you look at today's program, only again, four levels were being taught today, and the 10 other levels were ignored. Obviously, there will be classes next tomorrow and so on. But I think every day each level should at least be given 1 hour, since there are 17 hours. So if there are 14 levels of standards, then at least, every level should enjoy 1 hour of formal learning. Why can't we have a fixed time for each level? For instance, if they're going to start at 7 a.m., why do we have Form 6 at 7 a.m., since they are up earliest? Have every day 7 a.m. for Form 6. And then it's Form 5, Form 4. So every day the parents know if I have a standard 4 or 5 child, that child should be in front of the TV at 8 a.m. and it goes on. So every day that child knows at that point in time, at that hour, he or she has to be in front of the TV. Instead of having a different time every day, and in the end nobody bothers to watch TV because it's such a mix-up.
Azima stressed that it's important to have a proper, simplified plan that best benefit all students. Dewan Rakyat Deputy Speaker Datuk Sri Azalina Othman Syed has questioned the reasoning behind the suspension of Parliament during the state of emergency. In a letter addressed to Attorney General Tan Sri Idrus Harun, the UMNO politician raised concerns about the legislature's weakened functions, giving the executive branch was a free rein over the country's affairs. Azalina also expressed concern that parliamentary special select committees have not been allowed to continue its role investigating and scrutinizing issues to ensure accountability by those in power. Therefore, she proposed the suspension of the current cabinet to allow for it to be replaced with a special emergency cabinet. This emergency cabinet will only consist of relevant ministries until the state of emergency ends. The government is in talks to add the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine to the 5 already confirmed for Malaysia. In a Twitter post, coordinator of Malaysia's COVID-19 vaccination program, Kari Jamaluddin, said the single-dose vaccines from Johnson & Johnson and CanSino will be useful for interior areas as well as documented and undocumented migrants who may not want to come out twice. COVID-19 Vaccine Supply Access Guarantee Special Committee disclosed that Malaysia has already secured 66.7 million doses, or enough for 109.65% coverage of the population. The vaccines already finalized include Pfizer-BioNTech, AstraZeneca, Sinovac, CanSino Bio and Sputnik V. The Special Committee for COVID-19 Vaccine Supply Access Guarantee released a guidebook yesterday on what to expect of the vaccine rollout that's set to begin on 26 February. In the handbook, 5 vaccines have been identified by the government, including the Chinese vaccine CoronaVac by Sinovac Life and Sciences. What do we know of this vaccine? Dr. Badarul Hisam Abdul Rahman, Head of Research and Development at Pharmaniaga Berhad, explains the vaccine and how it works.
In the case of Sinovac, inactivated particle, so that our body will start recognizing the feature of that particular virus. In this case is COVID-19. So our immune system will start building antibody, recognizing specific epitopes, called epitope, the features of the virus COVID-19, and then giving us protection. Upon 2-dose schedule and upon complete dose of 28 days later, our body will build enough antibody to give us protection from any infection. That's basically the concept of vaccine.
According to Dr. Badrul Hisam, Pharmanyaga, which is in partnership with Sinovac China, assures that this inactivated virus-type vaccine is a safe and efficient formulation in preventing symptomatic COVID-19. He added that for this vaccine to work, each individual will require 2 doses, 14 days apart.
We will make this product locally. We will manufacture the product in our small volume injectable plant in Puchong. And in terms of logistics and distribution, this is not something new. Pharmanyaga have been doing it for the government for the last more than 25 years in the logistic and distribution for various kinds of vaccine. Especially for the Sinovac vaccine, the refrigeration temperature is at 2 to 8 degrees Celsius, which is very simple relatively for us to manage.
With only less than 2 weeks until our vaccination program begins, it is important to also look at other countries about how they manage the pandemic. Lessons could be learned, adapted, or even used as a model for us to combat the spread of the virus. The recent assessment by Lowy Institute, an Australian think tank on countries with the best responses to the pandemic, revealed New Zealand, led by Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, to be the best out of 98 nations ranked. Slightly down the list at the third is Taiwan, also led by a woman, Tsai Ing-wen. Earlier in Astro AWANI's conversation with former Federal Minister Tan Sri Rafidah Aziz, we asked her, are women just better at handling crisis, or is there something else needed during these troubled times?
No, I don't like to analyze anything by the gender factor. That's the wrong way to look at it. You look at the leadership qualities of the people who are in charge. If their leadership qualities have resulted in them planning and implementing the right strategies, whether it's from the health side or the socioeconomic side, development, to manage the country and using parallel tracks of remedies, so to speak, well, they have been successful. And because they are women, I, as a woman, feel happy. But I'm not going to pinpoint because they are women. They are good leaders. Their quality of leadership is such that they're able to do things in the short term, medium term, long term, and therefore get out of that rut, so to speak, faster than others. It's all about leadership qualities. It's not about individuals who want to be in leadership positions. There's so many people now who wants to be in leadership position, but without the requisite leadership qualities. So that's why things don't get done, or get done in a half-baked way, or get done without the desired results being realized.
Some wise words from the Iron Lady herself. Of course, we cannot turn back time and come up with a different strategy to face the pandemic. What can we do is to focus on the future, and that means we need a solid vaccination rollout. So, other than good leadership, what is needed to ensure clarity on vaccine rollout?
First, what is primarily needed is clarity of mind and purpose by the leadership of the PN regime or administration. For the past year, there have been too many U-turns, flip-flops, contradictions, indicating a confused and sometimes clueless group who are supposed to lead us out of this pandemic, but themselves can't seem to punch their way out of a wet paper bag. This is scary and doesn't leave us with much assurance and comfort. So please show some true leadership now, however difficult that may seem for this regime. Second, listen to the experts, especially the public health experts, and beyond listening, execute the measures, strategies that they offer. In Malay, jangan bodoh sombong. There's been too much of that in evidence already this past year. Enough with the amateurism and let the professionals lead the way. Third, work out the logistics first before rolling out the vaccine. Seemingly simple logistical problems of storage, access, and delivery need to be thought out and mapped out beforehand. This is going to be a nationwide exercise, incorporating East and West Malaysia, covering different terrains. Some of these places are easier to access than others. So different strategies are probably needed, requiring the support of the emergency and security services. Fourth, there needs to be open and clear communication. This is to reassure large segments of society who are either ignorant, unsure, or afraid of the need to be vaccinated. Mental health personnel, which we don't have much of, need to be at hand. Finally, just this once at least, do think about service to the public before self.
We'll take a short break. Stay with us.
We're now facing the third wave, so remember,
bila sentuh soal berita, tiada masa untuk tunggu. Kepada anda kami bawakan fakta, susulan dan kupasan yang terkini. Tiada drama dan tiada pengulangan. Usah tunggu lama-lama. Awani 7.45 lebih awal dari biasa.
Kini berwajah baru.
Ini pula susulan khas pesawat Back Air di Kazakhstan. Pesawat berkenaan dilaporkan tergelincir 2 kali.
Notifikasi berita terkini dan navigasi mudah. Podcast.
Welcome back. Astro continues to work closely with authorities to condemn content piracy and those involved in selling illicit streaming devices. According to Director of Regulatory at Astro Malaysia Holding Berhad, Laila Saad, the act of illegal streaming is considered theft and punishable by law.
Her statement comes after recent charges were brought against company director who pleaded guilty and was fined 30,000 ringgit for offences of possessing units of iBoyd X media boxes that included illegal Astro broadcast applications. Laila added, content piracy costs the Malaysian economy over 3 billion ringgit each year, with 500 million in taxes and thousands of jobs in the entertainment industry.
Google has agreed to pay Nine Entertainment Co. more than 30 million Australian dollars in cash annually for the use of its news content. This is a major breakthrough for the search giant and media company before the introduction of new bargaining laws. The Sydney Morning Herald reports that industry sources that are familiar with the talks said Nine had signed a letter of intent with Google for 5 years. Multiple industry sources who were unable to speak publicly due to confidentiality agreements said the deal is the largest agreement for news Google has signed in Australia to date. In Indonesia, public workers, people over 60, traders and security personnel started to get their COVID-19 shots today. This is after more than 1.1 million, mostly health workers, received their vaccine in the first phase of inoculation. The second phase started at Tanah Abang Market, Southeast Asia's biggest textile bazaar, with the target of at least 55,000 traders who will be getting China's Sinovac biotech vaccine. President Joko Widodo said the second stage of the vaccination program is targeting about 28.5 million people, made up of 16.9 million public workers and 21.5 million elderly people. In all, Indonesia plans to vaccine 181 million people, or 70% of the population. Malaysia was found to have among the most researched publications in predatory journals with questionable publishing practices. Tonight on Consider This, Syarat Kutan and Melissa Idris speak to our guests about higher education's obsession with academic citations and university rankings. That is all we have for you on Awani tonight. Get the latest news update on COVID-19 and COVID-19 vaccines from astroawani.com and Astro Awani app. I'm Farhana Sheikh. See you tomorrow.